Anime New York City is one of the biggest conventions in the US, and tickets are about to go on sale. Should you grab one? Today I'll break down everything you need to know about the event, from food to panels to merch, and help you decide if it's worth going. So what is Anime New York City? It's a very large anime convention that focuses on anime, manga, cosplay, and Japanese culture. Anime New York City will be held at the Javits Center in New York City on August 21st through the 24th of 2025, and it's typically a 3-day event, but this year it will be a 4-day event. And the full sale will go on sale on January 16th of 2025, also at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So what can you expect from this anime convention to help you decide if it's worth you going? The first thing I want to talk about is the panels and guest appearances. One of the biggest draws is the chance to see exclusive anime episodes or premieres before they're widely released. I personally got to take a first look at the Case Closed premiere at Anime New York City 2024. There was also a Solo Leveling premiere. The Bleach Anniversary was also a panel, and there was tons of panels all day long. You also have the chance to meet voice actors at Anime New York City as well. I really enjoyed the Living in Japan panel, where people moved to Japan and talked about their experiences living and working in Japan and how they kind of incorporated themselves into Japanese culture. If you decide that you want to go, check the schedule early because popular panels fill up fast. If there's a specific guest you want to see, prioritize their panel to avoid disappointment. The next area I want to talk about is the merchandise. There was so much anime merchandise, it was kind of overwhelming. You have exclusive items, you have Anime New York City official merchandise, you also have Artist Alley, which is a great way to support smaller artists who make their own anime style merch. There was t-shirts, cups, so many things. Crunchyroll, Viz Media, Bandai Namco was out there. I mean, there was just so much merch, and it's so easy when you don't go there with a budget to spend so much money. Like, I don't even know how much money Nick and I spent because we were just like buying so much stuff. I would say that there was definitely a mixture of high quality and maybe some like sus quality stuff. And also, if you do want some of that exclusive merch, I mean, pay attention to some of your favorite artists or favorite anime companies that are going to be out there. Viz Media sold out of some limited edition like Bleach and Naruto stuff like very early on during the anime convention, like first day. So if there's anything specific that you want, I mean, be checking out, Viz Media, Crunchyroll, all these different people. Keep an eye out for them making announcements before the actual event so you can go ahead and get that merch. There's also a lot of really amazing and cool artists at Anime New York City as well in Artist Alley, and remember to support the small artists too. Next thing I want to briefly talk about is the food. The lines for all the food were super long, like all day. I mostly ate downstairs. I'm a creature of habit. I just got the Korean chicken sandwich every day. It was simple. It was kind of, I'm not going to say filling. It was at this point that I had no idea that my audio went out. So I was just talking for 20 minutes, and it wasn't until I started editing the video that I realized my audio had stopped recording, my microphone died. So now here I am to film this part of the video. The food at the convention was honestly kind of mids. I mean, a lot of these festivals and venues just have very basic kind of fast-made food. On both Friday and Saturday, I got the Korean chicken sandwich, which came with a side of dumplings. A lot of the food lines upstairs were extremely long, and I would usually eat lunch a little bit before everyone else started eating lunch, so the lines downstairs weren't too bad. They had a decent amount of options, but I mean, there was like a ton of people there, so once it was lunchtime and everyone was hungry, it was just chaos. It was hard to find somewhere to sit. Also, the food was really expensive. I want to say the Korean chicken sandwich with dumplings was like $15-20. Like, it was kind of insanely priced for such a small portion of food. On the last day of Anime in New York City, we left maybe around 4 or so, and we just decided to go to a ramen shop instead. We also got some popcorn because the popcorn smelled really, really good. But once we got the popcorn, it was kind of just okay. Like, the popcorn smell would be like in the venue and it smelled so good. But then I was kind of disappointed because it did not taste nearly as good as it smelled. Now, for the overall experience of Anime New York City, I would say it was very interesting. I liked the vibes there. It was very crowded though. Like, it was very hard to get around, especially on Friday. I feel like for some reason Friday was like the busiest day. There would be people that kind of stopped in like the middle of the walkway or a path, and they were making like TikToks and videos, and so the flow of traffic would have to move around them in very small, confined spaces. There was obviously not enough seating for everybody, so there was a lot of people sitting on the floor around the venue. I did feel like it was a little crowded, like there wasn't really a lot of space to like move around super freely. But I did enjoy Anime New York City. I thought it was fun. There was a lot of stuff to look at, and I enjoyed the panels I went to. I do wish there was maybe like a little more stuff to do. Overall, I thought it was a fun experience and a fun weekend. There's also a lot of really amazing cosplays at Anime New York City. Even if you don't want to dress up yourself or go too crazy, you can still admire other people's work. There's also cosplay meetups throughout the day, and you can use the Anime New York City app to keep track of what times and where the cosplay meetups are at. You can also use this time to meet other anime lovers and connect. I really like that Anime New York City has an app. It kind of helps you find things, and there's a map, but it's still a little bit difficult to find things. I thought that the mapping of like the artist alley, merchandise alley, it was a little confusing to read at first. Now I want to talk about the cost and logistics. It's best to buy your tickets early on. I used the Light Exchange to buy me and my boyfriend Nick's tickets last minute, but the Light Exchange no longer exists. I believe the guy like kind of rug pulled people, and yeah, long story, but I ended up spending a little over $400 for 2 3-day passes on Anime New York City 2024. So if you want to go, try to get tickets when they go on sale here on January 16th. For travel, you're going to want to figure out if it's feasible to drive there or if you should just take a plane. Hotels in New York City, I don't think are like the most cheapest options. Luckily, Nick has family that actually lives in New York City, so we were able to stay with them, which saved us a lot of money. We did fly in because we live over 1,000 miles away from New York, and we were able to find pretty cheap plane tickets. If you are gonna fly in, try to plan in advance. The more you plan in advance, the more you can probably save, because you can keep your eye out for cheaper tickets. And if you are going to get a hotel, I would recommend staying for at least 4 days. I personally don't like arriving somewhere the day of the event and then trying to scramble to check in. Where am I going to put my stuff? All these different things. But Anime New York City this year is actually going to be a 4-day event. So if you do get 4-day passes, then staying 5 days would probably be better. And you also have to remember, like, if you're not from New York, if you're not from the area, There is so much other stuff to do in New York City. I have so many videos on my channel. If you want to check out anime stores to visit, I have videos about that. I have videos about ramen shops you can go visit while you're there. There's a lot of Japanese culture in New York City that you can experience as well. You also have to remember when you're in New York City, are you going to take an Uber to the venue? Are you going to walk to the venue? Are you taking subways? All this stuff has to be factored into your budget. And once you're inside the venue, there is going to be some cost with food. We were able to eat like one meal a day inside the venue, and then later when we left, we would eat food somewhere else. So depending on what you can do, you can even bring snacks in, because to be honest, I feel like they didn't search that well. So you can always bring snacks too, and that can help save you some money as well. I want to go over some common complaints and things to consider before you go to Anime New York City. I took these complaints directly from Anime New York City's own Instagram and social media comments. People complained about the line wait times. And I can agree, certain lines I felt like were extremely long. Like I didn't even go to some of the food booths and vendors because the lines were so long, like the entire time. As far as getting in the venue, I was actually impressed with how fast it went. I didn't feel like going into the venue that the wait times really took that long. The line moved pretty fast, with the first day probably being like the longest. But once I got up front, they seemed like they weren't really checking. And then the first day, I swear I just like walked in. Like I don't remember anyone looking at my badge or anything. Like I just walked right in. I was like, are we inside already? And they were like, yeah, I think so. Like they didn't look at anything. Another common complaint was overcrowding, and this one I completely agree with. The venue is huge, but there was a lot of people in there. It felt like it was hard to get around at times. It was hard to find a seat. And overall, I still enjoyed the experience, but it may have been better if I was able to walk around a little more freely and not be bumping into people so much, or I felt very constricted. I felt like Friday was more crowded, but apparently Saturday was their biggest day. I also saw a lot of people complaining about the date change, because I guess Anime New York City used to be in November and now it's in August, which people complain because I guess there's a lot of cons going on in summertime, so you're competing with other big cons and also making time for other cons if there are other cons that you're interested in. The water fountains ran out of water were another complaint, and something I also experienced for myself. It really kind of sucked because waiting in line for a drink wasn't really always feasible because the lines were so long, and then the water fountains seemed like they weren't producing enough water as you went through the day. There was a lot of people that complained about the Wi-Fi. I personally didn't experience this because I really wasn't on my phone. I used the app for some things and that seemed to be loading just fine, but I wasn't trying to make calls and text people and stuff, so I didn't experience issues with the Wi-Fi, but I did see a lot of complaints about the Wi-Fi connection at Anime New York City. Another complaint is it being confusing to get around, and again, I experienced that as well. The map was confusing. The banners they had up top to help you get around was a little confusing for me to figure out, but I still managed to get around. Also, finding certain panel rooms, the layout was confusing. Like one number would be over here and then a number next to it that you would think would be around it would be like way over here. It would even take me a while to find the cosplay meetup area, and then I asked a member of staff and they were unsure as well where it was, so I kind of just had to wander around until I found it. I want to give my final thoughts about Anime New York City so you guys can make a decision for yourself if it's worth going or not. Would I recommend this convention? I would say yeah, I would recommend this convention. I thought overall it was fun and I had a good weekend because, you know, it's the convention and also like New York City. So if you're not like from the area and it's not somewhere you can go, like you could turn this into like a little bit of a trip where you can enjoy Anime New York City and also enjoy New York City as well. Does the event justify the cost? This is a hard question to answer because I know the cost of things are rising. So I thought it was a little pricey for what you get. I'm not going to lie. I did buy aftermarket tickets, so they did raise the cost of those. So I'm not quite sure what the original cost was. To be honest, like Anime New York City was kind of like a convention, like they hit a bunch of points, but I'm not sure if there was anything like super unique about this experience that's like you must go to Anime New York City, you must, you know, check out Anime New York City. This is what I'm gonna say. If you have some money and you can afford to go without it putting a financial strain on you, then go do it. I want to tell you guys about my experience and what I saw at Anime New York City, so you can make your own decision if it's a convention that you would want to go to. I lived far away and I decided to go. It was feasible for me and I was able to make it work out. Would I go back to Anime New York City? Yes, I would go back. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going this year or not. I would like to go. I'll see. It does fall on a family member's birthday, so I would be missing their birthday again if I did go. Also, New York City is kind of sketchy. If you guys watch my Anime New York City Day 1 vlog video, I talk about a little bit what happened to us while we were in New York City, because we were in New York City for like 2 weeks. But I would go back and I am considering buying tickets again. We'll just see. It's just I went so last minute last year, like a few weeks before, maybe like a month before I bought the tickets. So I'm really just trying to see where I'm at, see where I'm going. And, you know, like I said, this was part of my opinion. There was nothing like that really just stood out and pushed me to like, I must go to this convention. Like, it was fun. I had fun. I had a good time. It was enjoyable. I would go back, but you know, there's other things I want to do. There's other things I'm seeing about doing. I have things I'm planning and I just don't know. Like, I don't want to buy tickets and plane tickets and then later have something else planned and be able to not go. So I'm just going to see if I'm going again or not. But if you guys stuck around this long, thanks for watching the video. Let me know in the comments, have you been to Anime New York City? Do you plan on going to Anime New York City for 2025? Let me know in the comments. If you are planning on going to Anime New York City, I have a ton of New York City videos on my channel, ramen shops to visit, things that you can do in New York City if you're an anime fan. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It really helps this video out, and subscribe to my channel. But thank you so much for watching. Matane!